Sabo Radio. We're doing a little something different today. You know, you get bored just talking and talking and talking. And honestly, we got to do some calls. We got to talk Jets, allow people to call in. You see the number right there. You get bored just talking and talking and talking. And honestly, we got to do some calls. We got to talk Jets, allow people to call in. You see the number right there. You get bored just talk. But yeah, had some technical difficulties right there. Hang with me. But by week 4, week 5, it's like a brand new opening weekend for the season for this Jets team. Think about it. Darnold's back. CJ Mosley's back. The feeling is at an all-time low. There's no question. But everything is trending towards Darnold playing in Philly. We know the spleen is the issue. That's what everyone's talking about. But Gase at the facility this week is actually upbeat. Everyone thinks Darnold is returning week 5. David Fales already cut. On the roster right now, 1 QB. 1 QB. Is it possible Darnold doesn't play week 5? Yeah, of course. And what they'll do is they'll re-sign Fales and go with the 2 QBs for that weekend. But right now, Darnold, Mosley, and a struggling Philly team, even though I love the coaching staff, I love their front office, the direction they go in. And I'm watching the Rangers right now. They just put another one in the back of the net. It's 2-0 against the Isles. For anyone watching live on YouTube, if you call that number, we'll see how it works. I have no idea yet. It goes right to Skype. And once this is done, it'll be downloaded, sent to iTunes, all the podcast outlets. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is on the fly stuff. But Patriots, 30-16. We know the score. How about Bill Belichick? Shocking that he actually takes Brady out of the lineup. Let Stidham go in there. Jamal Adams gets a gimme pick 6. Adams, Bell continue to say the right things after the game. And, took a little criticism from Francesa today. I know a lot of people don't listen to Francesa much anymore. I don't either, to be honest. It's really 25-75, 25% of the time I'll catch him. I think it's unfair to criticize either one of those guys right now. Adams got a little frustrated. No, he doesn't want to be associated with a losing team, but this is his team. It's up to him to help turn it around. He's not running away from it. Bell, a lot of folks said Bell kind of called out the coaching staff by saying the Pats were 20 steps ahead of the Jets coaching staff. I don't think that's the case. He was just giving a nod to Belichick and the Pats. He wasn't calling out Gase. He wasn't calling out Greg Williams, the Jets coaching staff at all. I think it was completely unfair to say that. But, as a Jets fan, yeah, you're down. 0-3, expected a lot more. But guess what? It is a second opening weekend in week 5. For once, the bye actually worked out in their favor. An early bye actually worked out in their favor. You got Philly on the road. Dallas, home. Patriots, home. 2 out of 3 is the goal there. Am I talking silly? Saying 2 out of 3 there? With the way the offensive line's played? Yeah, it's silly. It's complete silliness. But that's the goal. 2 out of 3 there. Then, if you're at 2-4, you got the soft spot in the schedule. The Jags, the Jags are pretty good. Yeah, who do you got here?
How you doing, Mr. Sabo? My name is Edwin.
Edwin, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Big, huge Jets fan. I just feel disappointed. I feel disappointed of how our season's been going so far. But with all these injuries and all the things that's happening, I still have faith. I still have faith, especially when Darnell gets back, and the offensive line can actually work together and somehow manage to get some wins. Um, but I still feel like the Jets will still do good. I mean, it's a tough rest of the schedule, like a couple of more tough games, especially against Philly, and definitely against the Cowboys. But I still think that if the Jets could win those two and somehow pull a miracle against New England, there's still a chance that the Jets could still, kind of, creeping into the wild card spot somewhere.
Well, listen. Remember the Herm Edwards team? No one thought there was a chance in the world they would do anything after starting 1-4. Not a chance in the world. There have been many seasons that have risen from the ashes, and it doesn't look good with the way this O-line is playing, with the way this O-line is. The front office has left this O-line in shambles over the last 5 to 8 years, but that's the hope right now as a fan. This is like a second opening weekend coming up. Gase had no chance. Yeah, he really had no chance. And should he be criticized? Yeah, absolutely. Criticize Gase all you want. He's got to take shots downfield. He's got to be a little more aggressive. But at the same time, what a lot of people don't realize is he cannot be aggressive. He would have gotten Luke Falk destroyed if he called 5 7-step drops in New England. Sometimes if you can't block him, there's just nothing you could do. So he does deserve criticism, but it's got to be tempered. The way this thing is constructed really takes Gase off the hook. Douglas, obviously, because Douglas came late. But in terms of hope, don't lose hope, because crazier things have happened.
Definitely, man. I still have that hope. And that's true, Douglas is going to do a great job doing this on next off season when he is going to put his own personnel. He already has his personnel-ish. But I mean, he's going to get this draft going. And I feel like that's going to be a great, draft, I believe. He's a great talent evaluator. And I think he's going to do a marvelous job as a GM. But yes, Gase does get a little criticism because, he should have threw it up in the air. But like you said, he would have got killed. Luke has no chance in hell.
No,
like,
that's what people don't. That's what people don't
not.
understand. You can't if you can't block it up front. If you can't rush the passer with 4 guys, the playbook gets cut drastically. There's not much you could do. And I'm seeing in the chat here, the biggest fear right now is Jamal Adams. The fear is the Jets are going to lose Jamal Adams because they won't put a winning product on the field by the time he's got a year left. I don't know if he has a 5th year or if the 5th year is an option. I should know that. But that's the big fear right now.
I'm nervous because not only about Jamal, but I'm almost nervous about Le'Veon. I mean, Le'Veon's been saying all the right things in the media, but secretly we don't know how he feels. Like, he might be like, no, I can't believe I came here. I was thinking that this was going to be much more different than what it is, and I'm losing games. I was doing better in Pittsburgh. I was like winning games there at least. But now it's like, this whole situation, like, I don't know, like, if Jamal leaves, that's a big break in our secondary, and our secondary is already bad as it is. I mean, Jamal does a good job up there, but we still need a lot more pieces in this team, especially in the offensive line. And we only have a couple of, veteran Band-Aids right now, but we still need a proper offensive lineman. We need young guys up front.
Here's where the hope really lies. They have more talent than what we're seeing right now. If they could block them up front and they could get to the quarterback with 4 guys, suddenly Jamal, everyone behind them are better. See, guys like Jamal, the cornerbacks, the receivers, Robbie Anderson, Le'Veon Bell, they're handicapped. If the guys in the trenches are not doing their thing, they are handicapped and development doesn't grow. Notice McCagnon in his draft picks. All of his draft picks, they were pretty bad, right? Not all of them were
Right.
that bad. If he had
No.
proper infrastructure and the line did its job and the four-man pass rush got to the quarterback, a lot of his guys would have grown. A lot of his guys would have reached higher levels. And that's the thing that really has angered me the last 3 years. You got to complete those units before you look for a best available player. And I think Joe Douglas knows that.
Yeah, especially with the whole situation when a lot of people talk, a lot of fans say, "Oh, Leonard Williams suck." You know, like he's not giving his best. He got triple teamed against New England. Like, hello, like he can't do it all. Like, you know, like triple teams is bad. Like doubles already bad as it is, but you being triple teamed, like that's just, you know, how it is. We don't even have a third round pick out there. You know, like the other Williams.
There is sufficient enough evidence to say Leo is not getting it done. But yeah, it's a whole different ballgame if he has two competent edge players who could get to the quarterback and win one-on-one battles. It's a different ballgame. So yeah, I'll get, last thought, Edwin.
Last thought. I think that Leo will be gone by next year. I think that this is his tryout year, and if he doesn't improve by the second half of the season with Darnold and with Mosley coming back and with Quinnen, then I think he's going to be gone. And I just hope that Adam Gase does do well, and hopefully what I can say is if Gase does well, his job is safe. If he doesn't do well, go next year, do the off season, have a draft, see how that goes. If not, he's gone. He's absolutely gone. And I think Douglas shouldn't be too friendly with him either. Should just cut him once things go bad.
All right. I'll catch you later, Edwin.
Well, thank you so much, man. I love your radio.
All right. Take care.
Take care, man.
And that's the thing people kind of don't realize. Gase wasn't a Douglas hire. Who do we got here?
My name is Jason Wynn.
Hey, Jason. How you doing?
How you doing, man?
What do you got today?
Yeah, I'm calling. Basically the question I have is how long do you think Darnold has? How many seasons does he get? Just a long-term question. I'm curious. I'm a big Darnold fan because I went to Penn State and I saw him destroy Penn State in that Rose Bowl, so I'm curious how long he thinks.
You think my prediction on how long he's with the Jets, or you mean not making it to a certain level where they give up on him?
I mean, yes, exactly. The second one, not making it until they give up on him.
I think there's a lot of variables. You know, it's not always about the talent when they come in. It's not always about the talent. It's about situation. A Jared Goff, in my mind, is not prime time. Meaning, if he wasn't with the Rams, if he would have went to the Raiders or a different situation, he could be like a Mark Sanchez type where he gets lost in the shuffle. So
Fair.
I think the variables depend on the Jets and their development and what Joe Douglas does in the draft. If he repeats a 2006, a Mangold, a brick, and gets serious about the line, I think Darnold's going to be fine, and he's going to make a career at it with the Jets.
That's true. I completely agree. You got to build from the inside out.
You got to build from the inside out, and it's about the variables. Goff, it's interesting. Sanchez, yeah, he was bad. He never should have been the 5th overall pick, but I think he could have been a competent starting quarterback if he was handled the right way. Rex Ryan
on a good team
didn't know how to handle quarterbacks. You know, they had the infrastructure there. They really didn't trust him. They were scared to death of turnovers. He wanted to play a defensive brand, special teams brand, in a league where the offense was growing based on the rules. So
that's a good Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think one key thing, the difference, if he uses his mobility, it could be a much different type of quarterback. I think if he uses that more, but I think he has, a much higher ceiling than some of these quarterbacks. He just has to use mobility and stay healthy.
Well, the good thing about Darnold is he has the uncoachable traits you see that you want. Like, he could throw on the run phenomenally. He could sense pressure.
Exactly.
He senses pressure like he's got eyes in the back of his head. he is mobile. And after Daniel Jones, what he did, everyone's going to be screaming for him to be mobile, injured spleen or
Yeah.
not. So he's got the tools to be a franchise quarterback. It's just a matter of development, Gase being that quarterback whisperer, if he is that, and putting him in the right situation. I mean, what he did the last quarter of the season was franchise quarterback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Wow.
I'll say
Well,
I'll say he's going to be
yeah.
with the Jets, and he's gonna make a career out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree. I hope you're right. But thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
You got it. Take care. And that's the thing. First of all, I got to fix this ringtone. The ringtone shouldn't be coming in when people call in. I thought I fixed it, but we'll have to circle back. This is definitely the trial run. But that's the thing. Douglas didn't hire Gase. Remember this. Even though they're familiar, they know each other. Through Baltimore, Chicago? I think it was Baltimore too, but Chicago for sure. He didn't hire him. Let's see who we got here. You're on. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, name is Matt. Longtime follower on YouTube. Really appreciate your show too here. Thanks for letting me call in.
Appreciate it. What do you got?
Hey, real quick. So one of my big concerns is, when I look I see the demeanor from Gase. Look, the guy's not supposed to be happy. I get it, right? He's 0-3. He's the walking dead in terms of the roster, in terms of talent, in terms of who's healthy, who's not. You also kind of look at the fact that he's supposed to be this offensive guru, and his offense is obviously not performing. But I think one of the concerns that I have on the long term here is, you've talked about in the past where our line is definitely garbage, slightly improved this offseason. We're not quite where we need to be. The line situation, and I'm really hoping that Joe Douglas takes it seriously this offseason, even possibly during the season if we can salvage something. But it's not just getting a line for Darnold and getting him protected, but it's also the long-term implications that this could have. I mean, if you're Darnold and you're 2, 3, 4 years into your contract with the Jets and they haven't shown that they're going to take care of you, and look at the Andrew Luck situation. How many years did that guy go without having any protection? And then the year before he retires, they decide to go out and get a guard and finally start to shore up that line. But what if we're in that situation where Darnold's not seeing the love from the Jets in terms of drafting viable linemen, and let's say we even do draft a few and they just don't pan out? Is this a situation that he's going to want to stay in?
Yeah, I mean,
it's
an excellent point.
Yeah.
And it's why I got so nutty about Quinnen Williams. Listen, I love Quinnen Williams. He's a good kid. He could still be a great talent in this league. But the right move was to trade down, collect assets, and draft at least 2 linemen in the top 3-4 rounds. Or grab Josh Allen to at least solve one of the 2 dire needs at the edge.
Right.
Listen, it could easily happen. There's no question about it. We all saw what happened with Luck. The Colts did it. They finally did it last year with the line. It did wonders. Luck's now retired.
Right.
But again, I guess the theme of this podcast is hope. One good draft can turn it around. Right?
Right.
When you hit on 2 offensive linemen like Mangold and Brick in 2006, a lot of so-called experts had the Jets' talent as the worst in the league. And they had Jericho Cotchery, Kevin Barlow, Leon Washington. Those were their weapons. And they won 10-6. They won 10-6, won 10 games, went to the playoffs because of that line. They flipped 3 offensive line starters. So the hope is Joe Douglas can get it done in one draft.
Right. Yeah, and look, the last guy who called 2 calls ago talking about Leo. Look, I love Leo as much as anybody, but you can't be praising about pressures anymore. The guy needs to get home. He's paid like a big time tackle or defensive end. He needs to get in there a little bit more. Yes, we don't have the edge pressure, but it's been shown in this league you can get pressure from the interior if you're good enough, double team or not. So I just
don't be confused, everybody.
Yeah.
Gase deserves criticism. Leo deserves criticism. Even Darnold that first week. It's never just one thing.
Right.
But I
Right.
harp on the most important thing, I guess. The most important thing that really kicks off a program changer, building it for something special towards the future. So, yeah, no, you're
Right.
right. Leo, they all deserve criticism. And I think tomorrow at Thursday I'm going to look into Leo and what he did against the Pats. I haven't really looked at it yet. This should be interesting.
And last thing, and I'll hang up. Look, as far as expectations, guys, and this goes out to all the other Jet fans listening too. Look, we came in pretty wounded, and the injuries that have compiled since Avery Williamson went down, and all the other injuries we've had since then, you just can't overcome that. When you're paper thin and certain positions, it's going to show in the NFL. And we are who we are right now. We don't have people in the field that can make plays, so we're not going to make those plays. So it's going to be tough sledding. So this bye week couldn't have been a perfect timing. I think the second part of the season coming up is a perfect way to frame it. And I'll hang up now. Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. And another thing is, early on in NFL seasons, unlike baseball, it's only a 16-game schedule. Momentum carries teams far in the NFL, meaning you could play well above your talent early, you could play well below your talent early. I think the Jets are playing way below their talent early. So, never get too high, never get too low. Keep that in mind. They're probably playing way below their talent early. Hey, you're on the show. What do you got? What's your name?
Hey, my name's Abedin from New York, longtime Jets fan and a longtime listener. I love your film room.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Just had a couple of questions. What do you think we can do in terms of the offensive line mid-season? I know we've been talking about the draft, but what do you think can be done in terms of the roster as it is right now?
You know what? I haven't even thought about that. It's a great question. If Douglas could do anything, I think once he got Ryan Khalil, everyone stopped thinking about it. Meaning, oh man, this is such a great addition to the interior of the line, where you got Assembly, Khalil, Winters, great run blocking trio. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to look into that, see if anything could happen. I mean, really, usually after July, August, any veteran cap casualties, it's tough to improve the O-line. But that's a great question.
Right. Maybe perhaps give Jonathan Harrison a chance at center.
Right.
Yeah. My second question is, I've been watching your film room as well, and before the season, a lot of the video showed, the ingenuity of Gase and his offense. But do you feel like since the Darnell injury, I haven't seen that as much. Do you feel like he's holding back somewhat because of the lack of talent or the injury to Darnell and Falk being a starter?
He's absolutely holding back, but I think it's more of an O-line issue as opposed to a Darnold issue. I was very disappointed in week one even. Darnold played bad. I think we all know he had mono week one, at least the early stages. He even admitted it to us in the press room. He felt like crap. He didn't know he had mono, he said in the press room, but when reporters pressed him on it, he knew he felt like crap. He just didn't know it was mono.
Right.
And if he knew it was mono, he would have went to the trainer. I was disappointed in Gase week one because he didn't give Darnold a lot of freedom at the line. A lot of offensive dominance in this new age is allowing the quarterback to look at the defense pre-snap and adjust. And Bates didn't do it last year with Darnold. Gase didn't do it with Darnold in week one, even though he kind of mentioned to Rich Cimini in August that he was going to do it. So I was kind of surprised not to see it in week one. He has held back big time. And I think it's more the O-line, but definitely Falk and Simeon too.
Okay. So do you see when Darnold comes back that things might open up more, even with the same offensive line that we have now?
Yes. They will absolutely open up more. And don't get me wrong, 3rd and 9 wide receiver screen. What was the other call in New England? There were two rough calls on 3rd down. A 3rd and 9 wide receiver screen, I think a draw, and then late in the second half when he was down 2 scores, he punted it away, right? That's stuff nobody wants to see. And I think Gase deserves criticism for that. but it's not the most important issue. It's the lesser of the two important issues. Where the more important issue
Right.
is the actual structure, and he can't overcome it even if he calls a perfect game.
Right. And one last thing before I go. The, people have noticed a trend. I've also listened to Joe and Edwin on WFN that Gates has a tendency on third downs to throw short of the sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely, if ever, throwing anything beyond the sticks. Do you see that changing, or do you know why that might be? Or
I don't know. He's always done this his whole career. He's a
Okay.
new age mind where it's a 3-step and out, 3-step go. Substituting a lot of the rushing schemes for 3-step patterns, quick designed passes, and that's fine. It works in today's league. Brady makes a living of it in New England, but
Right.
it only works if the defense actually respects something over the top, and if the O-line could block long enough to respect something over the top. So if you notice in week 1, the Bills came out, pressure. They were aggressive. They blitzed like hell. Browns did the same thing, and they said, we're going to blitz. We're going to play man outside because we don't respect your weapons, and we're going to get to the quarterback before he has any chance of making a play. So if you can't block that, then half the playbook's gone, and those short things don't work. So you're kind of in a tough situation. But I hope it changes. He does have a tendency to be really conservative when throwing.
Same.
I hope it does change.
Same here. And thanks again for letting me call in. Appreciate your show, and I look forward to more stuff from you.
You got it. Take care.
You too. Take care.
Yeah, it's a thing with Gase. It's familiar. This is who he is. Like the last caller suggested, do I see it changing big time? No. I think he'll get inside his own mind. He's kind of put it on himself, telling everybody he hasn't put his guys in the right situations. But what's he going to say? Hey, my guys suck. We're not blocking sufficiently enough where I could call my plays. We don't have the quarterback to get it done. We don't have the receivers to get it done. He's not going to say that, obviously. We'll see. We'll see. The notion that if Kelvin Beachum is getting beat on every play by Myles Garrett, you just double team him, it's only partly true. Yeah, sure, you could do some chips. You can get a tight end wing out there and chip and max protect. But if you go max protect and go 2-on-1 on Myles Garrett or any D end, again, you put yourself behind the 8 ball so drastically that sometimes it's not even worth it. On the other side, you're so stubborn that you think your guy can get it done, and you don't want to hinder yourself with route concepts, that you keep going. And you keep going, and you say, Beacham's going to get it done. And he's going to get it done on this play. It comes down to a lack of talent. That's basically it. Beachum and Shell are one of the worst tackle combos in the league. It was like this last year as well. Football Outsiders ranked the Jets' offensive line last in the league in adjusted yards per scrimmage. To me, that's the big boy offensive line stat. I think they were power ranked. They were better in rushing. I forget if they ranked them better on the ground or through the air when pass protecting. But regardless, the big mark adjusted line yards per scrimmage was dead last, 32nd in the league. Osemele coming in for James Carpenter. You can call it an upgrade if you want. Carpenter's starting in Atlanta. Osemele's 30. Beacham's 30. Ryan Khalil. I was a huge fan of the Ryan Khalil acquisition. So far, I'm dead wrong. At the same time, he hasn't really played. There have been flashes of Khalil, Osemele, and Winters dominating the inside in the running game. If you notice Le'Veon Bell and his success, he has been so much more dominant on the inside, like zone splits to the inside, than anything outside. Stretches, outside zones, any of that stuff is not working. Counters, they're having tough time clicking on the counters, the longer developing plays Bell likes. But the quick hitter, the inside zone split behind Khalil and Osemele has worked. It's been the only thing that's worked on the ground. And that's because Beachum and Shell just aren't good in the run game. I mean, compared to Khalil, Osemele, Winters. But when the offensive line has to stand up and pass protect, and they're all terrible. They've all been just awful. Free runners, left and right, communication, talent, both, everything. It's just been awful. Le'Veon Bell as the pass protector has been the lone bright spot there, and you don't want him pass protecting. You want him out in the route, in the concept. So, yeah, we'll have to get this ringtone muted on Skype. And for folks who called in, I don't know how it works yet. I think if we're on a call, there's no, it's like a radio station where you could see someone's on hold. You have a third person pick up and put him on hold and have him wait until the first call ends. Might just be luck of the draw. Call when I hang up. That might be the way to go. But got to get this ringtone off. This ringtone going every time someone calls in is a rough deal. But hey, I'm no producer. I'm no production whiz. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But we'll figure it out eventually. I'm going to do some film 2 days from now. Maybe tomorrow night. It's either going to be on the O-line or Gase's calls. Let's take this call here. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? What do you want to talk about?
Hey, what's up, Robbie? My name is Jeff, and I just want to call in. I want to tell you that I agree with you with this being, a second opening weekend of this season, like a new fresh start if guys, come back healthy. Well, I just wanted to ask, what do you think the outcome of the season is if we are able to play to our full potential?
Man, before the season, we do our ESNY preview and predict the records. At first, I had 6-10, 7-9, until they brought on Ryan Khalil. Ryan Khalil and Joe Douglas both got me really excited because I thought maybe if there were no injuries and Khalil rounded out that unit, something special could happen. 0-3 now. I think they will show fight. I think Darnold does have everything it takes to be a franchise guy. So I'll go with the positive today. I'll go with a 6-7-8 win season.
Okay, especially because that second half of the season is, in retrospect, pretty easy.
Yeah,
definitely teams we could beat.
Yeah, that's. I forget if I mentioned it today, but that's a good call. I mean, you got Philly in Week 5. You got
an injured Philly.
An injured Philly team, right?
Their number one is Aguilar, correct?
Yeah, they're still without their top two guys, Deshaun and Jeffrey. Deshaun, what was it, a hammy or a groin? One of the two. And those linger.
Yeah.
Hammies linger even more, and Deshaun's been hurt. He's been hurt on and off his whole career. He could be ready by then. He might not be. Jeffrey, I don't know what Jeffrey's injury is. But if they're still banged up in 2 weeks.
Darby's out too.
Yeah, and that's not good because their secondary is hurting. So if there was a matchup that really favors the Jets, the secondary of the Eagles really favors them because the Jets' weapons aren't that great. Unfortunately, their pass rush is really good. They send pass rushers from everywhere. So Gase is really going to have to cook something up. And then you got Dallas at home, New England at home. And then after that, if you get 2 wins, 2 of those 3, I'd feel pretty good if I was a fan. You got at Jaguars, at Dolphins, 2 in Florida, home against the Giants. The Giants all of a sudden with Daniel Jones. That looks tougher now, right? At Redskins.
Saquon is out. But yeah.
Saquon will miss that one probably. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's right in there. 4 to 8 weeks, they're calling it for Saquon. So that's 6 weeks from now. So it's going to be close.
Okay, yeah, it will be close.
And then you got at Washington, home against Oakland. At Cincy, who showed some fight. I like their coach, Cincy's coach. Home against Miami. At Baltimore on Thursday night. Home against Pitt. At Buffalo. So, listen, everyone feels down right now, depressed as hell. You don't know. We don't know. They have talent. They have some talent. There's no question about it. Jamal Adams, I think, is the best safety in the league. C.J. Mosley is a top 5 inside linebacker. Playing without Darnold and Mosley is insane. That's insane. That's your best offensive player. Well, not Le'Veon. Say second best offensive player, second best defensive player. That's rough for any NFL team to overcome.
Yeah. And I'm really worried about this wide receiver because Anuma's out for the year. We have this guy Barrios in for Demarius Thomas, who was supposed to replace Anuma. How do you feel about Demarius Thomas? Filling in that number 2 outside guy.
He's a good guy. He's getting up there in age, though. He's just, if you're not special with genes, if you don't have the genes, and you don't work like a crazy man. Even guys who work crazy get old at 30, 31 sometimes.
Yeah.
I think of Demarius as just another guy. He another receiver on the team. You got Robbie Anderson, you got Crowder, and then you got the rest of the guys. That's kind of how I'm thinking about Demarius right now, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate you answering the questions.
Herndon will be back.
Oh, you're right.
So
oh, wow.
That's the thing. Listen, with Anunwa, everyone loves Quincy, but the most important stat in football is availability, and he only played 40 games of a possible 80 coming into this season. And after the season, it'll be 41 out of a possible 96. That's rough. But you got Herndon coming back, so the weapons will be decent enough. Can they block him? That's the question.
Yeah. Hopefully everything turns out fine. But
yeah, we'll see.
But
all right, yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks for calling in.
Bye.
And that's the question. I mean, listen, Herndon, Crowder, Robbie Anderson, it's enough. It's not star-studded. It's not, crazy. But look at Kansas City. Tyreek Hill's out. Watkins has, been on one leg his entire career. Aside from Kelsey, where are the stud weapons there? Running back? Where's the stud running back there? The point is, it's about structure. It's about coaching. It's about offensive line. Mahomes helps too, obviously. But that's the thing. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? What do you want to talk to about today?
Hey, my name's Colin, and I want to talk about nightmare scenarios. For example, let's say the Jets, they end up going 0-7, 0-8. They're competing with the Dolphins for number 1 overall pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Woody Johnson gives Adam Gase I'm not going to fire you this year, even though you're doing horrible, who's the first guy they're going to trade for draft capital? Who do you think is on the chopping block right now?
It's a tough question. I mean, it's a lot different in the NFL as opposed to baseball, obviously, but
I know tanking doesn't really exist in the NFL.
Right.
It's if you're doing bad, it's because you have a bad team.
Right. And the Dolphins are kind of bringing the tanking and this narrative back, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I think what to follow there in that regard is attitude. If anyone's attitude wanes or falls off a little bit, that's the first guy to go probably.
So would Jermaine Johnson have value?
I don't think so.
Because he would definitely be,
you won't get anything
number
Jermaine,
1 right there.
You won't get anything for Jermaine Johnson unless a team finds himself in literally a situation where they have nobody at corner. You can get maybe a 7th round pick for him. Aside from that, you'll get nothing for Jermaine Johnson.
Well, so it's really that bad.
It's for Tremaine. Unfortunately, he's one of the slower corners in the
league. Yeah.
A report surfaced where the front office questioned whether he even loves football anymore. I don't know how true it is. I forget which reporter it came from, but he's honestly, his name carried him into this season, into last season really. He's never made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
He was good with LA. And if Wade Phillips and the Rams say, hey, we could do fine without you, that's a sign right there, too. I think he's more name value than anything else. The difference between him and Hairston was night and day. Hairston could actually play, could actually run, could actually bring something to the table. So, yeah, Tremaine, I wouldn't think you can get anything. Mosley and Le'Veon make big dollars.
He's a huge cap hit.
Yeah, huge cap hit. You just signed them. They're not going anywhere. So Leo is on his final year. So I don't know who else would be up for debate, to be honest. I'll think about it though.
Because I'm thinking, like, if Adam Gase knows he's not going to get fired, and as much as I want them to fire him, I don't think they can fire him, even if I know, and I'm being a pessimist, but
Mm-hmm.
if they have a bad season, which right now it's more likely that they're going to go 6-10 than 8-8.
You're afraid Gase is gonna burn down the house and trade somebody?
I'd read. You don't think he would?
You're afraid Gase is gonna? He might try to burn down the house.
Well,
and trade a couple
I don't
guys?
know if, and I know it's Joe Douglas' decision too, and Joe Douglas wants to, as you said, he needs O-linemen. He wants O-linemen. He needs to build draft. He needs to get high draft capital so he can pick these O-linemen. And he can do that, if they have a bad draft pick, he can trade down and get a second round and maybe another second round or a third round. But I think if they really have a horrible season, I'd almost expect them to deal away one of their big pieces.
Yeah, it just there's really no candidates. To be honest, the top guy is probably Quinnen Williams. As crazy,
Already, you think they give
as
up on him?
crazy as it
Oh, they can
sounds-
probably get a first.
As crazy as it sounds, it's probably Quinnen Williams. Even though I stick to the.
Well,
really
McClendon's going to retire soon, don't you think?
McClendon, yeah, but McClendon.
He's pretty old.
Don't think of McClendon as anything of. He's a great locker room guy. He's a great guy they love having around. Him and Rontez Miles are the two captain type guys who aren't like in their plans as far as starting foundational pieces on the field. There really isn't anyone right now in terms of where they could trade away for draft capital. It would be tough. I only say Quinnen.
Henry Anderson?
Henry may
Is he worth anything? I mean, I guess
it all depends on what unfolds this year, honestly. And I only say Quinnen because another team might think, hey, if he has a bad first year, another team might say, hey, we could get a lot out of this guy. But the return won't be nearly as much as what you invested in him. So even that's a huge stretch. We'll have to see how the year plays out, honestly. That's really the best answer.
Because if the Jets keep Leonard Williams, then Quinnen Williams could technically be expendable because they'd have two D tackles in Henry Anderson and Leonard Williams, even if McClendon retires. And they still have their draft picks from 2017.
Right. But if I had to pick one guy who's not going to be with the team next year, it's
Shepard.
Leo. It's Leo.
Oh, you think Leo won't be with the team?
This is his last
Really?
year.
You don't think they'll re-sign him? Joe Douglas?
No. If this is his last year, if he doesn't re-sign, or if he doesn't produce, they're not going to re-sign him. And a team will give him decent money. Not mega money that he's looking for, but decent money where the Jets will say, we'll move on. We have Quinnen. We have Henry.
Is that connotation that Leonard Williams is like a beast in the run block, is that also like kind of overblown? That's just the media trying to make up for it?
No.
Because I know the double teams was overblown.
The double teams are overblown, but for the most part, don't pay attention to Pro Football Focus. They're a great tool. They do solid work, but it's an inexact science. It's impossible to really put trench play, like offensive line play, and interior defensive line play to analytics 100%. I think his
That's
stock,
a new take. I've never heard that.
I think his stock is way below his talent right now. He's not as doubled as people would assume going in to looking at the numbers, but he was better than people thought last year. He was great against the run. His pressures, I don't have the exact numbers. I could probably look it up, but his pressures
in the 40s.
were really good. His pressures on the quarterback, his QB hurries were really good. He just didn't get the sack. So it's this year that's really been a letdown so far.
Yeah, I feel like I remember him chasing after a Q maybe once. Honestly, I watching the games, I don't, and it was probably in week 1.
Yeah, no.
When the whole unit was kind of working for a little bit.
One of my writers did a did something on this, and it shocked me, the numbers. His pressures, I'm trying to get to it right now. His pressures were really, really stunning last year. When looking at the league leaders. But
It was in the 40s or 50s, I think.
yeah,
Because I know D Ford and Aaron Donald were like completely out of the park. They were at like 80, and then everyone else was kind of like 50, 60.
Yeah, if I see it, I'll blurt it out on the podcast. But no, I think Leo's the guy. Unless he comes down the stretch with an incredible, turnaround. I think this is his last season with New York with the Jets.
They could deal him at the trade deadline too.
They could.
'Cause if a team's like, maybe we can turn this guy around. He has great potential.
Yeah.
And we'll just take him as for the last, like a postseason team that'll have him for more than just 8 weeks.
Yeah, they could.
They'll have him for 9 or 10 or 11.
Right. They could, and that's a good call. When you brought up that question, I was thinking about the off season.
They can, even though it's like he's not signed, that could still be a fourth or a third. They could still, like, that was with Snacks Harrison last year. The Giants dealt him for nothing.
For him to do it, he'll have to put some stats on the board against Philly, against Dallas, against New England. That's gonna have to come first.
That's a lot of good O-lines. Well, the Pats are kind of patched up, but they're still playing well.
Yeah,
it's a lot of good O-lines.
They could lose anybody they want, and it still works. On the O-line, it still works with the Pats. Dante Scarnecchia is a damn genius, and having Brady helps too.
Yeah, I'll never understand it. We're so close to having him, Mr. Belichick. So close.
Yeah, now we're talking 2 decades.
Do you know, actually, just I know it's off topic, but do you know what the first round pick, like who they used on, that they got for Belichick?
No, you know what?
Was it like a no-name player?
Wasn't it the draft where they had the 4 first-round picks? Ellis, Pennington. I think it was that draft where they had the 4 first-round picks.
Oh, did they get Sean Ellis with it?
I don't know exactly what it was, but I think it was that draft where they had the 4 first-round picks.
I'm looking it up. It was either Ellis, Jonathan Abram, Anthony Baxter, Chad Pennington.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not. Other than everyone except Anthony Baxter, I think was pretty good.
Yeah, solid, but still falls short of 6 Super Bowls.
Not the Belichick.
Yeah. But listen, Belichick, Peyton, these guys don't realize how good they have it with Brady and Breeze and quarterbacks like that. So I would love to watch Belichick coach without Brady. I still think he'd have great teams, but I'd love to just see it as a fan.
I think he will. I think Belichick would outlast Brady, especially if the division stays as it is.
If he doesn't, I want an investigation into the NFL. If Brady's playing to age 52, just time to go home. I mean, if he's still doing it at age 52.
He might. He's like,
now you're getting everyone
he's 20 years past every other human's evolution.
Is he a robot? Him and Elon Musk.
He's acting like a 27-year-old man at age 42.
Yeah, him and Giselle have some. They got some good medicine, don't they?
Yeah, TB12 facility.
Yeah.
They gave it to Julian Edelman. He got suspended for it.
Look at this. So Leonard Williams, pass rush efficiency, a PFF study. His pass rush efficiency would equate to 19 more pressures than Clowney did last year, than Jadeveon Clowney.
Wow.
Leo had 51 non-sack pressures last year, while Clowney had 36. So he got to the QB 15 more times than Clowney. This year, I think it's a completely different story. But we'll see.
I think he has 1 pressure.
Is that what it is right now?
Just one.
Yeah.
I think it's 1, honestly.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm kind of throwing that number out, but like it's margin of error is not large.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't even known he was playing.
It's been
watching
rough.
the games.
It's been rough. All right. Hey, anything else before we go?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Go Jets.
You got it. Hey, you're on the show. What's your name? What do you got?
Guillermo from Brooklyn. Want to talk about the terrible game plan and the possible mutiny that I'm praying for.
Yeah, you're praying for it. You want Gase out? I'm assuming.
Dude, well, first of all, I would like it if there was more structure to the team. I mean, the Woody Johnson, Chris Johnson thing. Look, give the power to Joe Douglas. This is how teams get good coaching trees. They get good branches that come into their team. When you allow a GM with some clout, some credibility to come in, and he brings guys that he knows from other teams. The guy knows people from the Eagles, knows people from the Ravens. You bring in those. That's where you bring in the Sean McVays and whatnot. You bring in talented guys that they're connected to, and you allow them to build a team in whatever vision. And given what the Jets have been going through since that, I would probably say Mangini, you haven't really had much of a cohesive front office where the draft, the coaches, everything was in sync.
So
and I think what we're seeing now.
Let me explain it to everybody. For what Guillermo's saying is this: since pretty much Parcells, the Jets have put the GM and the head coach on the same playing field, the same hierarchical structure. They both report to the owner. It contrasts to like old school football structures where the GM is the main boss and he runs everything and he hires the head coach. That's what Guillermo is alluding to, and I agree with him completely. But I'll say this. They did take the first step in fixing it, in which they did give Douglas full control, final say, I should say, over the personnel.
But does he? But he doesn't have final control over the coaches, though, right?
No, he doesn't.
So, and I agree with you. Look, I mean, I think Gase is kind of a lame duck. I think he's probably going to go with whatever Joe Douglas says. But then put it like this, right? Because Woody Johnson and Chris Johnson think they know football, they might fire Gase, have Greg Williams as interim coach. And then they might go out and search. They might freaking contact Charlie Casserly again and ask him for another stupid coaching hire or whatever. He recommended McCagnon, whatever. But you might go back for a coaching hire. That coach comes in. He turns out to not have the same vision as Gase. As Joe Douglas. And here we go again. We have another. We have discordian again. We have lack of cohesion. And it's the same thing again. Versus you allow Joe Douglas to hire the guy he wants. That guy is going to be more than likely to be in the same vision as Joe Douglas and actually be more of what Joe Douglas wants. Because let's be serious. Did you think that if Joe Douglas came here before Gase, you think Joe Douglas is going to hire Gase to come here? A lot of these guys are friends or they're connected. Doesn't mean they're going to hire the guy. They just could be friends with the guy or cool with the guy. So all that stuff, I doubt that Joe Douglas, given that he grew up on the Ozzie Newsome, like strong foundations, you know what I mean? So I doubt that he would have hired Gase, but then, Woody Johnson and Chris Johnson, I don't know, they have this weird power complex thing where they think that they know football. It's like, oh, you got to report to me versus let me hire football guys and reap the benefits like all the other successful owners do, the Maras, the Rooney family. The guys are like, let me stay back, let me fund, let me allow these guys to do what they do, and when they win, I'll look like a genius regardless, versus let me put my fingerprints over something I don't know anything about. Let's be honest. Woody Johnson, Chris Johnson, they don't know football. You don't allow McCagnon to draft if you're going to fire him. You don't bring in Gase and then pair him with this GM and then fire this guy. And then no, you don't tell Matt Rule, I looked up Matt Rule, and of course, one of the things he wanted in his offense was better O-line. He loves O-line play and spreading having a spread offense, which of course would have benefited the Jets. You don't tell Matt Rule and say, hey, or you don't allow McCagnon to come in and tell the guy, hey, we're going to bring in our own coaches, because what McCagnon is trying to do is put his own coaches and make sure he doesn't get fired. You put in your own little seeds with the new coaching hire so you can watch your butt, which I think is just, it's like Game of Thrones garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't allow
what you're alluding to with Rule, by the way, for everyone listening, is basically Kingsbury in Arizona. That's the offense that Rule would have brought in. Pretty much what Kingsbury's doing in Arizona.
But the thing with Rule, though, I was reading up on Rule, at least in 2017, O-line play was important. I'm not saying that that's not what Kingsbury, I know Kingsbury's a spread guy, and, he kind of wants his quarterbacks to be a little bit mobile and whatnot. And I mean, what's his guy's name? Kyler Murray's doing okay. Okay, I know they're losing, but he looks a lot, he looks decent.
They look okay. They look solid.
I mean, so, and I just find it, I watched that game. I'm sorry to keep going on. I watched that game on Sunday, and, I also watched Oklahoma, some highlights a few years ago. You have Le'Veon Bell, you have Ty Montgomery. Where are the split backfields? Where's the motion to if you have a terrible O-line, right? But you have talented running backs, but the running through the A gap is not working, right? Why wouldn't you just have split backfields where the guys could come out and now they're receiving options who are basically going to run anyway, but you at least give them a running start and the linebackers have to account for it. So I can't really stack A in the box. I kind of have to keep them out in zone or keep them at least near the intermediate and make sure the running backs don't kill me. Why don't we run things like that? I don't understand. I'm not a football genius. I'm not a football coach.
It's interesting though. He did a lot of dual halfback stuff in July. I saw it in practice. He had Montgomery in there a lot with Bell, and he's done it a little bit during the games, but I think maybe he tried to keep it simple after they got destroyed and and Darnold went out and the quarterback. He tried to keep it simple for the quarterbacks. But to your point about the owners, listen, I agree. I think they need to hire one true football voice and let him make all the decisions. Now, and another thing, would Douglas have hired Gase? It's a great question. There's only 32 of these jobs. So it doesn't matter. These guys will get into these jobs no matter what to take that job and think they could fix it. So we don't know if Douglas loves Gase. We don't know. What Guillermo wants is one true football guy to hire his guys, to have these guys on the same schedule, not fire head coach 2 years, fire GM the 2 years following that. You want continuity. You want them on the same schedule. And if Gase goes before Douglas has to make that hire. And we know so far it's not happening based on even Adam Gase and Greg Williams. Did Gase want Greg Williams? Or was Greg Williams a stipulation? Because the owners wanted Greg Williams and they said, hey, Gase, you could take this job. We'll give it to you. But guess what? Your defensive coordinator is going to be Greg Williams. There's so much up in the air, so much nobody knows about that situation.
And I'll say this, like when Jamal Adams returned the pick six, right? And this is why I talked to the mutiny, right? When you have a defense, look, the defense did not start hot at all. The blown coverage, was it like 41 yards and whatever that tight end, I don't even know who the hell that guy is. Things like that. The defense started out bad, and I think that they're pressing because they know the offense is so bad that they're going to have to be on the field so much, right? But when Jamal Adams got that pick six, right, and they were down by 16 and they got the ball back, was it four and a half minutes, I think it was, 440 something maybe. As just to give your team some hope, you know what I mean? Why would you give up and call such conservative play calling? Like, go for broke. You have a guy like Jamal Adams. I know people want to get on him, but I think that he's such an emotional guy that he plays where his emotions are. Guys like that on the defense, give them something to play for. Hey, we're back in this game. They put Stidham in. They were disrespecting us. Let's get back in this game. Let's show them that they made a mistake. Let's put some real fear in their heart. Let's make this an 8-point game with 2 minutes left to go. You know what I mean? Like, why? Where's that fire? I can see Greg Williams trying to do it, but where's that fire from Gase? And I think that you're running.
We saw it from Greg Williams when OBJ scored on that slant against Cleveland.
Say it again?
We saw it from Greg Williams how mad he was when Beckham scored on that slant against Cleveland.
Yeah. And I'll say this. Obviously, I think it was it Cashman who missed on the RPO, or who kind of timed it wrong.
Which play
on that play was it Cashman? I can't remember who it was, but I think the linebacker was kind of supposed to not bite for the run, just because the run probably wasn't going to go too far anyway.
Yeah, it was either Cashman or Hewitt, one of the two.
Yeah, I think it was Hewitt. I think it was Hewitt. And it's like stuff like that. You see the fire from the defense, right? Guys are missing, but there's such this goes to the coaching, the lack of cohesion. Greg Williams wants to go all out and kill these guys, kill the opposition, and it's like Gase gave up, and that speaks volumes when your coach gives up. Like I'm seeing guys like Gardner Minshew. Come on, let's be serious.
Yeah,
decent quarterback, but he doesn't have a great arm. He's not. I'm not saying he's not special, but the way they game plan, the way these guys are working around, the way the coaches are giving him opportunities to make the throws, challenge the defense, the Titans defense.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Kyle
I
Allen
just
in
don't
Carolina.
get it.
Kyle Allen replacing Cam Newton.
Kyle Allen.
Yep.
There's a guy who's undrafted. This is a guy that's undrafted. That Carolina offense looked like, oh Lord, we're not going to go far. And I understand, Cam Newton was hurt. Kyle Allen comes in and they were humming, dude. They were humming. I don't know that. I think it was the last TD where the guy was almost about to sack him. He rolls out to his right, makes that pass, and that invigorates the team. That says, hey, we're back in it. We weren't doing good the first games. We got stopped on 4th and whatever it was against the second game. I can't remember.
Yep.
I'm drawing a blank. Stuff like that, and I'm like, look, you have guys, and then when he says stuff like, oh, when Darnell gets back, Darnold's not the savior, dude. Like, I like Darnold.
Keep this in mind. Kelvin Beachum, his last year with the Jags finished 23rd in rushing, somewhere around there.
Oh, yeah, I remember your quote, yep.
He goes to the Jets the following year. The Jags draft Cam Robinson in the 2nd round. They finished 1st in rushing. None of the other offensive linemen changed. I think a right guard changed, but it wasn't anybody of note. They finished 1st in rushing. Fournette had...
Where's Adoga?
Where's who? Adoga?
Where's Adoga?
He's still on the 2nd unit. Now,
okay.
So the Jags offensive line, they signed Andrew Norwell, the best guard in the free agent class, not last spring, the spring before. Carolina Panthers, they signed Matt Paredes, the best center in the free agent class last spring. I hate to keep harping on it.
Wasn't Matt Paredes? Wasn't he? What weren't the Jets supposed to get?
The Jets were in on him, but they were worried about his injury history, and that's what scared him off. Was the most concrete report. So I was a big proponent of signing Paredes and 2 edge rushers. One of them who went to the Packers, but they got 2 of them, Darius Smith and Preston Smith, and the Packers are often flying.
Preston Smith is doing pretty good. Oh,
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
I hate to keep harping on it, but man, the offensive line is nearly half the offense. 5 of 11 players. And you see these backup quarterbacks, these undrafted quarterbacks have success. A lot of it is attributed to that. It really is.
Bruh, the Giants had, I think in week 2, if I'm mistaken, I think they had the best O-line. Like, they have one of the best O-lines. And it shows that, look, Eli is dying out, and the Daniel Jones, I understand it's one game, but he looked markedly better than Eli because he had time in the pocket. There was, I'm not saying he was, he had like 5, 6 seconds, but he had time to make throws, progress through his reads. And it's like when this idiot, Adam Gase, says, oh, just wait till Sam Darnold Sam Darnold, yes, the fact that he can roll out the pocket and make those throws, yes. But still, your play calling, put an extra tight end in there, have guys chip off. Did you see the chip play that Le'Veon Bell had? That was beautiful, where he chipped off and caught the ball. Yeah. I was like, oh my, keep running that effing play. Like, why don't you game around your bad O-line? You can do that in the NFL.
He should have done it more. Absolutely. I think it's stubbornness that he didn't. But it's tough. You do put yourself behind the 8 ball when you do it. But I agree. He should have done it more, no doubt.
You can't have 8 in the box and expect Le'Veon Bell to do one. Like, this guy is doing backflips and spins and fighting for an extra. He's going to get injured.
Oh, and you can't. See, this is the product of signing a stud back when you have no offensive line. This is the product.
Right.
It's miserable. And I was against the Bell signing, but you cannot blame Bell. And I was against it for money reasons, salary cap reasons, and not being ready yet. Bell has been everything and more that the Jets wanted. He's been perfect with his words.
Oh, my Lord.
Everything he's doing, you got to feel for the guy right now. But listen, if they turn it around, Bell is one of the reasons they turn it around, because he is doing everything right now. Staying positive.
Well, can I ask you a question? I watched Luke Falk Washington State, right? He needs time in the pocket. He doesn't have the most powerful arm, but he can make throws downfield, right? But, in the intermediate, he's not like he doesn't have a howitzer, right?
Yeah.
How the hell on offense, right? How the hell do you turn it around? Like, it has to. It has to come from play calling. You have to game around your bad O-line. If you're not going to put Adoga in, if you're not going to put Alex Lewis in, if you're not going to change the O-line, you have to do it from play calling. What would be your advice? I know you speak at Colin, but
my advice would be communication along the offensive line. Stick with Khalil. I know people want to see Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with Khalil. Hope it's a communication and rust issue. And you got to capitalize early. When the defensive comes out being extremely aggressive, you have to capitalize early with Robbie Anderson downfield. You have to do something that shocks the defense and the other coaching staff. That says, these guys can't.
We're not going to go for a run on the first down after we convert on third anymore.
Yeah,
because I called it. I was almost like perfect. I called it out every time Le'Veon Bell was going to run the ball. I was almost perfect in the Patriots, and then almost perfect in the second game against the Cleveland Browns. It was terribly predictable, but I agree. Robbie Anderson, and people want to get on Robbie Anderson, but I'm sorry, man. If you're running routes out there and your coach is not doing things in terms of protections, in terms of max protect or whatever, or the O-line's in that bad, I mean, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose like that fire. And I know, look, they're wide receivers like Andre Johnson of old. This guy's running out every time. Fitzgerald, he's running out every time hard. It doesn't matter whether he has a good quarterback, terrible O-line, or whatever. He's running out, but it gets to you, man. It gets you. I understand. Take your shots early with Robbie Anderson, but I mean, look, we had a few throws to Berrios. Ty Montgomery. Use your weapons, man. You have weapons. Do something. Ty Montgomery in that Cleveland Browns. I mean, somebody should have been chipping Myles Garrett and just coming up. I mean, it was. Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to pontificate.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Don't
Lord
sweat
Jesus Christ. I watched this, man. I hear your voice. I heard your voice, man, on the on the last video you did where you're talking about. I think it was the Browns. I think it was. You're talking about the O-line and Gase and stuff like that, and you can't. Why are you getting Quinnen Williams if you? And I agree, man. You see Josh Allen with the Jags now; he's starting to produce a little bit. And it's like the Jets actually, our Fukasi, Kufasi, all these D-line guys are actually decent. And it's like if you had one speed rusher, people want to get on Williams, and I understand Williams is not. You look at the Aaron Donalds, you look at Calais Campbell's; those guys are just athletic. They're just freaks, right? They're gonna eat regardless if they have a pass rusher behind them. But I feel like Williams would even eat more if, like you said, if you had guys, if you had linebackers,
he would.
Who can take that pressure.
And think about this: Jordan Jenkins. Jordan Jenkins and Henry Anderson are the two edge rushers. Jordan Jenkins, great dude, great culture, nice guy, great against the
decent run guy, yeah.
Great against the run, not a pure edge rusher on passing downs. And then you got Henry Anderson. Nobody could get on Henry Anderson because he's playing out of position pretty much on 90% of the plays. And with Quinnen out, he's playing a little more inside, and they're putting Basham out there. But it's tough, man. The coaches are not blameless, there's no question. But they got a Gase next game. Hope it's a communication thing. And attack deep early, just to stun the defense and loosen it up and give them something to think about. Because if they don't have anything to think about and they're one-dimensional and they're playing aggressive on every down, you can't beat them. You can't beat that defense.
Yeah, and no more Tremaine Johnson. I know he's only out there for 7 snaps, but I think he was targeted on almost all his snaps. Because I remember the one, I think it was a crossing route, or it was maybe not a slant. Maybe it was a
John Brown.
No. Against the Pats.
Against the Pats.
They just ran away from him, and it was embarrassing. He didn't jam really. He didn't
he's too slow.
A lot of me.
With the rules, he could have lasted at this speed in the 70s and the 90s. Not anymore. not anymore. The rule, you can't bump and run anymore. You can't touch him. It doesn't work.
Oh yeah, in the 30s, right?
Yeah. Now we're getting crazy.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to linger on. I know you got other calls, man. But,
you're good. Hey, take care. All right.
You too, man. Yo, just keep up, man. I can hear it in your voice, man. Just go out, get drunk. Just don't let it kill you, man, because it's killing me, man. I have to almost laugh. It's just I'm a sadomasochist with the Jets right now, man.
No,
That's the only thing
I've made the transition to covering the team, so I kind of mask. It's good. I'm good. I'm worried about you guys. You and all the other fans. I'm worried about you guys. I'll be okay. I'll be all right.
All right, man. Peace, bro.
Take care.
Peace.
Hey, what's your name? What do you got tonight?
Big Green. Love your content that you're always putting up.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
I'm just very disappointed in the offensive line. But at least Douglas knows that's where championships are won, in the offensive line and defensive line.
Yeah, that's the thing with this league. It's in a salary cap structure. All these teams are so similar in talent. It really is the vision and the personnel, the front office personnel picking, and the coaching staff that makes the difference. So for all Jets fans, I think, and it's not proven, obviously, but I think you got the right guy with Joe Douglas. I really do.
Yeah, I don't think we have the right guy with Adam Gase, though. Yeah. I wanted Matt Rule. That's who I wanted.
You wanted Rule? Well, listen, I'll say this. Gase deserves to be criticized. I think he's a good offensive mind. I think he's good with quarterbacks. The question still remains, is he a head coach? Is he a head coach? And was it the right hire? It's completely fair to ask those questions, but at the same time, understand he's been extremely handicapped these first 3 weeks. The injuries have been, and okay, there's no excuses. It's legitimate. Like, these injuries have been ridiculous. So keep that in mind while you do kill him. He does deserve criticism, but keep that in mind as well.
Right. Now, do you think if we have another top 5 pick, they'll get rid of him?
Say that again? If we have another the record? No, I think he's here for next year no matter what happens. Unless a complete mutiny happens in a locker room. Unless something drastic happens, I think he's here. Absolutely.
Yeah, because after Jamal Adams removed all the Jets players from his Twitter or Facebook, whatever it was, I was like, oh, here it is. Here's the mutiny.
Yeah, Jamal, he made that mistake with, taking the Jets out of his bio, unfollowing them. He said he never followed them to begin with. These young kids with their social media, they get emotional, and then they kind of announce to the world this is how they're feeling, so they don't want to be associated with this organization. He made a mistake, and he's come back from it, I think. I think he's made the right move since then.
Right. Now, do you think we should trade Leonard Williams? I mean, I've wanted Trent Williams, but it doesn't look like the Redskins are going to part ways with him.
Yeah, see, Trent Williams is interesting. He's still not playing. He's just wasting away in D.C. And what is he, 31 now? He's old. He's really, really good, but he's old. At this point, 0-3, before the season, I would have given up a second and a third. Washington's probably asking for a first, but I would have given up a second and a third for him. At 0-3 now, would I do it? I don't know. I think I still might, as long as it's not a first-round pick. And
yeah, I was thinking maybe Leo and like a fourth or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to see. If there was a team to take Leo and overpay for Leo, it is Washington, because Dan Snyder's crazy, and he'll do things like that. It's the right idea, though. If I could do 4 and Leo for Trent Williams, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I just don't think that would get it done.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. Love the content. Keep it coming, and go Jets.
You got it. Hang in there. Yes, Trent Williams is an interesting thing. Before the season, a line of Trent Williams, Osemele, Khalil, Winters, Shell, sign me up. And not even Shell, guaranteed at the right tackle. I think Shell's gotten a bit of a pass from Jets fans the first few years here. He's got the bloodlines. He's got the name. He's a drafted guy, and there's so few drafted offensive linemen. Jets fans want him to be great. But a line with Shell and Beecham battling on the right tackle, with Trent Williams, Osemele, Khalil, Winters, sign me up. Now, at this stage, Trent Williams hasn't played in so long. How much does Washington want for him? Who knows? Would I still be interested? Yes. Not for a first-round pick. No. Not at 0-3. No. No chance. But we'll see. We'll wrap it up here, too. I'll make the adjustments for next time. I think this will work. Doing a live stream on YouTube. Taking the calls. I got to get used to this, though. I don't know if people go on hold. You guys tell me in the chat. If you called in while someone else was on the phone, what happened? Were you on hold? I don't know. And the ringer. I muted Skype here because it runs through Skype, but the ringer still was loud as hell. What the, I need a producer. I need something. But, bye week this week, not much media this week. Conference call yesterday. Next week is when it'll ramp up again. And then Philly. Listen, hope. The title of this episode is Hope. It will be like another opening weekend in week 5. As long as Darnold is back, Mosley will be back, barring something crazy. As long as Darnold is back, it'll be the second opening weekend. And the Jets can do damage. Make no mistake. So, until next time, Sabo Radio.